Hi. So I thought, seeing as though we're having to do distance collections, where we can't sit down and chat through like we normally would, I thought I'll do a little video so I don't have to keep repeating this all the time on the phone trying to get through to people. And so if you've missed something, you can go back and rewatch the video. I'm trying to do this to cover for every breed that could be collected over the next few months, so it applies to everybody. So we'll start with what's inside their bag. So if you're getting a small breed puppy of us, providing they're in stock and I can get them, we always send home one of these little kitten tunnels because they love them. It's one of their favourite toys, okay? We always send home new versions of the toys that they're used to, so they've got familiarity. So there's usually a teddy in there, maybe a rope toy, a couple of chew toys, a ball, and it's all stuff that they're used to seeing. Even though you'll have lots of toys for them at home, these look like what they've already had here because they're exactly the same, but these are new versions, okay? There is a blanket that goes home. This blanket will be rubbed on their mum and on their siblings, so it smells of hair and their litter when they go home, and that will help them settle, especially during the first night. Speaking of nights, we'll talk about that now before I go through the rest of the stuff. So the first night, your puppy is going to cry. They're going to cry because they're not used to being by themselves, so it helps to put this in there with them. If you want to leave a bit of noise in the background somewhere, whether it be the telly, the radio, all that can help. I want you to put them in their crate. Don't make a fuss. Just put them to bed, shut the door, go to bed. If you get up to them when they cry, that noise has brought you. They're going to cry longer and louder. So you need to be really hard the first night and just let them cry. They will cry themselves to sleep. That's it, okay? The first night, it might be 15, 20 minutes. The second night might be 10 minutes. Third night, 2 minutes. Fourth night, nothing. But if you do go down, it's going to carry on because that noise brought you. So please don't go down to them. Don't sleep with them. Don't put the crate in the bedroom. If they put the crate in the bedroom or you're in sight of the crate, they cry and cry and cry because they can see you. And you want them downstairs, okay? Now, also, speaking of stairs, height matters. So if your dog sleeps with you, let's say you've sorted all the nighttime stuff, it's nothing to do with that anymore. But if you let your dog sleep with you, and if your dog is dominant at all, you then are making them equal to you or above you in the pack, and once you do that, they won't do as they're told. They won't come back off lead. They're allowed to correct lower pack members when they step out of line. That's normal. That's what dogs do, and the way dogs correct is by biting. So start as you mean to go on. You never want your dog to feel like it's in a position where it can tell you off. You are the boss, so you don't sleep with them. You control the food, you give them good rules and boundaries, you correct what you don't want, you praise what you do want, and you can't go far wrong. And if you don't catch your dog doing it, don't tell them off. If you come home and they've destroyed something, you can't tell them off because they have no idea what you're telling them off for. You can tell them off, you can give them a bit of a fright if they're chewing something they shouldn't, you know, loud noise, whatever, if you catch them. If you don't catch them, it didn't happen. Dogs live in the moment, okay? So that's that bit. And about your blanket. So also inside your pack, you have tick removers. If your dog ever gets a tick on a walk, you've got 2 tick removers. The smaller one is for small ticks, the big one is for big ticks. Hopefully you never will, but if you do, they're there. You've got the first toothbrush here, so get them used to you poking about in there and cleaning their teeth. You've got poo bags in case you've forgotten to buy any. Now you have your final wormer in here, and I say your final puppy wormer, it is and it isn't, because they finish the puppy worming with me when they leave, but I like to send home one more for good measure, and it gives you peace of mind. You can say, I definitely know they're completely fully wormed. So they've been wormed with us every 2 weeks from the age of 2 weeks, and we alternate between Drontal and Panicure. The reason I alternate is they do slightly different jobs. Panicure covers other things other than worms, like the microscopic parasites like giardia, things like that, that they can pick up from dirty puddles, farmland, other animals. So it just gives you a little bit more coverage. I'm sending you home with Drontal. Now I don't know if you can see, but it states in there that Drontal, this is the smallest tablet, does up to 10 kilograms. Your puppy doesn't weigh 10 kilograms. You need to work it out to be appropriate. So a Cavapoo you'd give a quarter to when they're a baby. The Frenchies or the Malamutes you'd give half. So just work it out, be sensible with what it states. And inside your paperwork, I've put a date for you for when this is due, so you know when to give it. Then going forward after that, your wormers, you've got a choice. You can either worm every 3 months, alternating between the two, Drontal and Panicure, which you can get from Pets at Home, or you can get online from ViaVet. I buy everything from ViaVet. I just like it's easier. I hate shopping, just gets delivered. Please don't use any of the strong ones like the vets sell, like the Milba Max. Milba Max is for dogs that are worm burdened. It's for dogs that haven't been wormed for years, where the owner didn't realise they've got to keep on top of stuff, or they've come from a shitty breeder that hasn't wormed them. The dog's skinny with a big fat pot belly. That's when you use the strong ones. don't use it if you don't need it, because all the parasite control, they're pesticides. They're not good for them. Just use them when you need to use them. And speaking of that, let's go on to flea stuff. Our puppies have not been fleed. Flea protection, as they call it, isn't protection. It kills live fleas. So if you flea your dog and it doesn't have fleas, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't prevent, doesn't stop them catching fleas. Unless they've had it on that day, or they've had it on 2 days ago and they come across a flea. The flea will jump on still, oh, I don't like that. And it'll jump off, or it'll die straight away. It doesn't work, okay? A few days later, it will not protect your dog. So you only use flea stuff if your dog has fleas. Otherwise, you use a natural repellent. We make our own up, or you can buy them online. It's something that goes on the coat that the fleas don't like the smell of. It keeps them away. It's got none of the nasty pesticides in. It's not bad for your dog. Some dogs will react to the natural stuff because they're allergic to something in there. Like we can react to anything, to certain soaps on our hands or nuts, or same with dogs, they can react. It's just trial and error and see how they get on. Now, if your dog ever does get fleas, use the spot-on treatment that you put on the back of the neck. Do not use the tablet. The tablet ones cause all sorts of awful stuff in dogs. Yes, lots of dogs take them and they don't have an awful reaction, or certainly not straight away. But as it builds up, over time, you keep using it, you will get a reaction in your dog. Please don't use any of the tablet ones. And don't use any flea stuff unless your dog has fleas. And one of the selling points for the vets with these flea things is to do with ticks. They'll say, oh, but you can get Lyme disease from ticks. So I want to tell you about ticks. So if your dog has had one of these tablets, which the vet will say is for the ticks, I'll tell you how it works. The tick comes along, it doesn't repel. The tick climbs onto the dog, bites the dog, ingests the blood from the dog that has this tablet in, because it's going around the dog's body. Then it makes the tick's brain scramble, same as a flea. It makes them scramble and makes them die. They drop off and they die. So the dog doesn't bring in lots of ticks and fleas into the house. Didn't stop the tick from biting. If the tick had Lyme disease, it did not protect your dog from Lyme disease. It will still get Lyme disease. Okay, so it doesn't work. Yes, it does work. It stops you getting a big epidemic, getting your dog full of, thousands of fleas. It does work for that, but doesn't stop them getting fleas in the first place. So if you're a vigilant dog owner and you notice, oh, my dog's got a flea, deal with it. You don't need to put this stuff on or use these harsh tablets, okay? Also, speaking of fleas, you ever need to check them, you have a flea comb in there. So that's that bit for you. Going on to the brushes, I've tried to cover for all breeds. So if you're getting a poodle cross off us, like a Cavapoo, you will use this brush first. It's a gentle detangler. It'll either look like one of these or it'll be a slicker brush. And the children can use that on the dog as well, and use that one first. Afterwards, you need the metal comb. What the metal comb does is it makes sure you've brushed all the way down to the skin, because any other brush just brushes the top layer, then you end up with tats closed down by the skin. So you need to use this, especially as they're getting older, the coat gets thicker, curlier, you've got to use one of these. If you're getting a smooth coated breed like a French Bulldog off us that molts, you need one of these rubber mitts. And the way you use these is once they start going through a molt, when the seasons change, you think, there's a bit of hair coming off them, put them in the bath, obviously wash them in nice warm water, then lather them in a cheap, natural human conditioner and scrub them with this. And what it does is it loosens all the undercoat that's coming out, makes it all come out. You rinse it off then with the shower. If you want to do a really, really good job, buy a dog grooming blaster, which is the blow dryers. They're really powerful, but they don't get very hot, and you can blow dry the dog afterwards, and that takes out the very last bits. I use that on all my breeds because it takes out any undercoat. You can blow off any mud off their legs when they come in from a walk, quickly dry them if they're wet after a walk, they've got sand on them, and it means you get the rest of the undercoat out as well. Then if you're getting a double coated dog that really sheds, like a Malamute or a Pomeranian, when they throw their hair out, and they don't do it all year, same again in the season changes, you use one of these rakes to take it out, okay? So you would brush all this out, and then if you want to do the full groom yourself, you'd wash the dog, you'd blow dry it outside. It looks like it's snowing, especially with the Malamute when you blow dry it. Blow all the rest off, and then go through it again, and then it's finished its molt. If you're just doing the basics, you go into a groomer, just use this to get rid of the worst of it so it's not all over your house, and the groomer will do the rest for you. So I really suggest getting a blaster no matter what kind of dog you've got, unless you're getting a little piddly thing. Yeah, get a blaster. Also, I use my blasters for blowing up airbeds, paddling pools, blow drying my hair if my hairdryer breaks, so they're good for all sorts. So that's that bit. inside your bag you have this. This is for your microchip. Now there is instructions in there on how to put the chip into your name. You're going to ignore that because we're going to do that together the day before you collect. Over the phone, I'm going to go through and change the chip for you, and I'm going to activate your insurance. So in there, the only bits you need is the spare stickers to your microchip, which has your microchip number on, and then you have this disc, which is one of the ones that go on your collar. If you think the disc is ugly, you don't want to use it, go and get another silver disc and put on what's on here. So on one side of this disc is your dog's microchip number. On the other side of the disc is the microchip company's telephone number. So if Joe Blogs finds your dog, they don't need to take it anywhere to be scanned to get your chip number. It's already there. They can ring direct to the chip company and say, I found this dog, this is the chip number, and the dog gets back to you quicker. They're really, really good. So that's that. Your insurance. So if you have a crossbreed, a non-KC dog off us, they'll be insured with Buddies. Inside there, your policy number will be on there, okay? And there's lots of information in that bit there. They're insured from the time they leave us for 4 weeks. They're insured up to £4,000. Now, halfway through the insurance, the company will get in touch with you and ask you if you want to continue. They'll quote you, see if you want to continue with them. If you do, great, you don't have to do anything. If you don't, if you're going to go with another company, that is the time to start your new insurance. Because when you take out a new insurance, you can't claim on it for 2 weeks. So sod's law, if you don't do a lap over with mine, if you end up with a 2-week gap, that is the time something's going to happen and you're going to need your insurance. It is sod's law. So make sure you have that lap over if you're not staying with my company. If you're getting a KC dog off us, they will be insured with the Kennel Club and you get 5 weeks. That's the difference. So that's those bits there. So we'll start to go through the paperwork because I want to talk now about the no-sodes and the vaccines. So inside here you also have a bottle of no-sodes. No-sodes are the homeopathic version of the core vaccines and the Lepto. The Lepto has been chucked in there for good measure. So we start these with our dogs from 6 weeks. The first week they get it every day in their mouth, just a little drip, and then after that they go on to weekly. But we like them to go back to daily for a week when they leave us. And the reason for that is when they leave here, when they leave home, it's really stressful for them. And stress dampens the immune system. So we want to give that immune system a bit of a boost when they go home. Because you could bring stuff in on your shoes, on your carpet, in your garden, off your cat, whatever. So you go back to using this once a day for a week. Then you're going to go on to weekly until you get your vaccine. That's if you're going to get your vaccine then. So let's talk about vaccines. So in the back of one of your paperworks, again, I have the vaccine insert. And I pointed out again the 2 main bits. The vaccine insert states that after 10 weeks, you only need 1 vaccination. There's no first and second vaccine, just 1, okay? And it also states about boosters, the minimum time between boosters is 3 years, not yearly, like the vet calls you in, it's 3 years. But we know if you titer test, which is where you get a blood test done to check the immunity levels, if they have immunity levels, they're actually vaccinated for life. So let's talk about the 10 weeks. So I could give a puppy a vaccine here at 6 weeks. You could give them one at 8 weeks. You can give them one at 10 weeks. Then at 6 months old, they could catch parvo. And you'll say, well, how have they caught parvo? They've had 3 vaccinations. Because they have mother's immunity up until a minimum of 10 weeks. And what happens to anything we give them, like a vaccine, the mother's immunity kills it off, which is why the first vaccine, or the second as well, if it's all given too young, or the third, are all temporary vaccines. So that's why if you, after 10 weeks, they only need the 1. The others are needless vaccines. Now, we recommend you wait a little bit longer, a minimum term of 12 weeks. And the reason behind that is there is still a very small percentage of dogs carrying mother's immunity after 10 weeks. It's something like, not 100%, but something like 99.9% of them have got rid of it by 12 weeks, and it's 100% by 14 weeks. So it's up to you if you want to risk that tiny little bit to the 14 weeks, or if you want to get out walking and do it at 12 weeks. It's entirely up to you. We're never going to say you have to do it this way, but this is how we recommend. If you decide to vaccinate for Lepto, Lepto is an added part to the vaccine, you will need 2 puppy vaccines, but the second part of the vaccine only needs to contain Lepto. You might choose to vaccinate for Lepto if you feel you live a lifestyle where your dog is more likely to catch Lepto. Bearing in mind, The Lepto 2 covers 2 of a possible 200 strains. The Lepto 4 covers 4 of a possible 200 strains. So it is a very poor acting vaccination with a high reaction rate. So make sure you do your research before you decide to give Lepto or not. I don't give Lepto to my dogs, but that is up to you. If you do give Lepto, you will have to give a booster every year because it doesn't work very well. It needs to be boosted every year. Whereas your core vaccines, the others, what we suggest after your puppy vaccine is you go back to the vets at 20 weeks and you ask for a vacci check. Vacci check usually costs about the same amount as your second vaccine. They draw up blood from the dog and test its titer levels, its levels in its body that have antibodies to the core vaccines. If they have those levels, yes, they're fully vaccinated. That's it, done. They don't need anything else. Now we know that once you've got those levels, you've got them for life. They will wane and change over the years. They will go up and down. They'll go to level 6, they'll go down to level 1. Because the way it works is when your dog, or even us, same for us with titer levels, but we'll talk about dog. When your dog's out on a walk, say they come across parvo or distemper, their body goes, oh, I've seen this before. So its titer levels will spike to the top to deal with what it's just come across. So it doesn't get the infection, or it gets a very mild version of it and you won't even really notice that it's had anything. So then its levels will be set at 6. But if your dog doesn't come across it, say you live somewhere where they never come across it, or you don't socialise, or there just isn't any there, your levels will set down at a 1, down at a 2, because they're not in use. There's no reason for the dog's body, or our bodies, if it was us for measles or whatever, to sit on guard all the time at the highest level going, oh, we're going to get measles, we're going to get parvo. That's not how it works. So they come down. So when you get your titer test, you go at 20 weeks. Even if some of the levels are a bit lower, don't let your vet say, ooh, they're a bit low, you need a booster. If you've got any levels, it worked. Now, if you want peace of mind, they say the titer test is good for 3 years. Retiter every 3 years. If you want to have a look and make sure they've still got levels, retiter every year. Or if you need it for insurance purposes, or for going to doggy daycare, or using kennels take titer tests. They have to be within 3 years, so just keep titering. And that's the healthiest way to vaccinate. I'm not anti-vaccine, I'm anti-unnecessary vaccine, because keeping boostering and keeping filling them with crap over the years shortens their lifespan. It causes autoimmune disorders. You can cause, at the site, you can cause tumours, all sorts. There's just no need. Just give them what they need. Don't give them too much. That's that part. Right, let's go through your whole sheet. On the front of your sheet, depending on what your dog is, there will be their date of birth, their breed, who their mum and dad are, what their health tests are. Then we come on to the feeds. So we will tell you there how many meals a day they're on. Nearly all of them, when they leave us, are on 4 meals a day. And we feed them roughly, and it's all written down for you, first thing, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And I will put you a rough amount for each meal and what I expect them to be eating roughly when they're fully grown. And you let them get to that amount, that fully grown amount, as fast as they want. Don't waste stuff, don't measure stuff, let them get there as fast as they want, okay? But don't really go over that top line, then you won't get a fat dog. Your next wormer date is on there when we talk about your wormers. So that's all there for you. It's all written down. You don't have to remember any of this. On page 2, at the top, it's just a reminder for you, when you do go for your vaccine, make sure your dog is 100% on the day. Because if they're not, if they're unwell at all, you're putting them at risk by adding more for their immune system to deal with. So make sure they're 100% on the day that you go. Here we have the ingredients for making the natural flea repellent if you want to do it for yourself. Then here we talk about sleeping. We've touched on that already. Put them in the crate, don't sleep with them, all that kind of thing, okay? The next, we talk about safety. So I don't want you to have any accidents. I want to prep you for the common things that people have in the house. Now, the main thing is you're not used to having something that moves fast around your house that's low to the ground. You're standing on them, falling over them. Just bear in mind what you're doing. Be careful when you close doors behind you. Make sure they can't get behind your fridge and get electrocuted. Make sure all your wires are out the way, blocked off so they can't chew through an electric wire. When you're not with them, when you can't supervise them, put them in the crate. The crate isn't just for house training, it's for keeping them safe when you can't watch them, okay? So pop them in their crate. Also use the crate for feeding. When it comes to dinner time, put them in their crate with their dinner, shut the door and walk away. If they eat their dinner straight away, let them out straight away. If they don't, leave them up to 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, if they haven't eaten it, open the crate, let them out and take it off them. Do not let them graze their food. A dog that grazes their food is the boss. Only the boss controls food. They're not allowed to control the food. The first day or so though, they don't eat properly at home, so you don't need to be strict the first day or so. You can keep offering, keep faffing on, but then you get into a good routine, okay? So that's that part. And also in safety, the really big dangers, the poisonous stuff that you might have in your house or certainly your garden, tomato plants. If they eat, lick, whatever, a tomato plant leaf, it is really deadly poisonous. So are lilies, they're your big ones. All the other stuff you get to hear about, like onions and raisins and grapes and things like that, yes, they are poisonous, but they have to eat quite a bit of them, same as chocolate. They've got to eat a lot of it. So they're not your biggies. The other ones, they only have to have a tiny bit and it's a vet job. Chocolate, white chocolate, barely touches them. Milk chocolate, a little bit. It's dark chocolate that's dangerous. It's the cocoa in it. So obviously never feed them chocolate on purpose, but if they get hold of a little bit, don't stress if it's a little bit. You just get some diarrhea. Unless they've had a lot of dark chocolate. So that's talking about your safety. Your next page is to do with body language when you're out and about. So you can tell on the park if your dog's about to get eaten. So you can start to learn what you're looking at and make sure your dog's behaving correctly. If your dog is behaving inappropriately, tell them off. Then we have a couple of pages on house training to help you. The main thing about house training is don't tell them off when they pee. If they're peeing somewhere that they shouldn't, make a loud noise to disturb that pee. I normally go, ah, 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 and they'll go, ooh, and they'll stop. As soon as they stop, pick them up, take them to where they should have gone, take them outside. Always take them out the same door. Try and take them out every hour, as soon as they've eaten, as soon as they wake up when they've had a sleep. I usually put a puppy pad in front of the door they're going out of, and that is for accidents only. I do not encourage them to use that. That pad is there for when they walk to the door. If you haven't noticed that they're there and wanting to go out, they will then squat and go. It's there usually for the first maybe week till you think, right, we're getting there now, to try and get them outside. If it's warm enough, which is really starting to warm up now, I'm in my sundress and it's only April, leave the back door open. It makes life so much easier for house training because they will learn to just go out by themselves. But obviously you need to encourage them, keep taking them, but they will start to do it by themselves. So that's that part. Nighttime for house training, they can't hold all night. You will get up to some accidents. They grow out of it, okay? But you can't tell them off for it. So that is house training. Okay, the next part, we have lots and lots and lots, I think it's like 3 pages on cleaning ears. The reason why we talk about cleaning ears is because in this country, probably the most common thing a dog goes to the vets for is a sore ear. Now, sore ears are due to, especially with big floppy-eared dogs with lots of hairy ears, their ears get dirty, they get sweaty, they get lots of stuff in there. If you're buying a dog with big pointy ears like a French Bulldog or a Malamute, you're not going to get that issue. So they don't need their ears cleaned out very often. But the Cavapoos, the Cockapoos, things like that, they do. I tend to clean them out maybe every 10 days. There's lots of stuff in there we can use to clean them. Also, chronic ear infections are caused by autoimmune disorders, over-vaccinating, crap food. I mean, somebody asked me this week about possibly going on to, you know, a dry food or Royal Canin, things like that. They are only if you're having a real issue, if the dog won't eat and it's a temporary going on to it. But it's just like us eating processed shit food every day for all our life. It's going to shorten their life. Don't give them it, okay? And it's crap. That's that bit. Then we come on to your grooming needs on the page. So for each breed, each dog, I'm going to write on here what your grooming needs are for your dog. So for example, this page when I've wrote it up is about a Cavapoo. So I've said here they need their bum trimmed, their eyes trimmed, their nails cut and their ears cleaned. And then talking about the breed, I've said it's a really wimpy breed and they're prone to ear infections. Now I'm going to do a video for the Cavapoos, Cockapoos and put it online on the Facebook to show you how we do those trim up bits so you know how to do it at home, and then before you collect or if your puppy gets delivered I would have already done it for you, but you can go back and watch that video so you can do it yourself because you'll want to do those bits more often than you go to the groomers, and at the moment all groomers are shut. Here for your curly haired dogs shows you priority areas for brushing. Okay, in your Malamutes and your Frenchies, I mean Frenchies don't need brushed unless you know they're molting, and the Malamutes very infrequently. They don't need too much, but your curlies, you've got to do it. So there's your priority page. Then back again, that was the vaccine insert. And then on the back page is just another titer test result for an older dog who only had a puppy vaccine. They had their titer at 20 weeks, they were immune. Then further on down the line, they decided to get another titer when they're an adult just to make sure they were immune, and they thankfully shared it with me so I can share it with you. I think it looks it makes more of an impression when it's not one of my dog's titers, when I'm showing you a titer from a puppy that we've bred and sold and it's been sent back to us. So that's on the back of there as well. Also in here, in your paperwork, I have a sheet for you all about the no-sodes and the vaccines with the, you know, when to do it and why we tell you to do it. So you've got that, that's your go-to sheet. You will have your vet checks sheet. This vet check isn't filled in yet because this puppy, who's one I've just nicked, is getting their vet check done tomorrow. So you'll have your microchip number on there. You'll have the puppy's date of birth, who they are, what colour they are. Then the vet will check through eyes, ears, nose, teeth, jaw, testicles, weight, body condition, heart score. Now the heart's a score between 0 to 6. You want a 0 or a 1. Any higher than that, there's something going on. General temperament and health, and then the vet will write if there's any condition, concern or cosmetic defect seen. So that will all be on there. It gets signed by the vet and stamped with a practice stamp, and that goes home with you. Then in your contract, this one's not filled in, it's just the same again, it's for a puppy. I've just put the chip number on there, haven't done the rest. Will be filled in with all the details to do with your dog, their mum and dad, their health tests. Here I will fill in their date of birth, who I've insured them with, what immunisation they've had, not vaccine, immunisation, because they've had the no-sodes. I will talk about their vet check results, if there's anything to talk about, any cosmetic defect, anything we need to know. Their price on the back, I will sign off to say what's been paid, their deposit amount, their full amount. Then I will mark with an X where you have to sign. So you need to fill in your details on here if I haven't already filled it in for you. You need to sign down here for your vet check and 2 signatures here for both lots of money. Then you need to photograph both sides and send it to me, please, just over WhatsApp, so I've got a copy, because obviously we're just doing a straight handover, no faffing on with touch each other's paperwork, and to just pick the puppy up and go. That's that bit. I think I've gone through everything. So the day before you collect your puppy, if you're collecting here, it's from a distance, it's in the porch, the puppy will be placed in a box, I will be stood back, your puppy pack will be beside, you just, you know, pick it up and go. Only one person to come into the porch, don't bring the whole family. If I'm dropping off, same again, I'll ring your doorbell, puppy will be in a box, I'll step back, you can just take them out of the box, or if a courier is dropping off for you, if you're further away, they will do the same thing. All money's owed has to be paid before you come and collect or we drop off, and we're always here for you. I know this is really strange at the moment, and normally it's all very quite hands-on and we chit-chat through everything, but we can still do that over the phone anytime you need me. But I just thought I'd do a video, so if you don't remember something, you can go back to this and have a look, and I hope I haven't missed anything out that anybody wanted to know. Okay, see you all soon. Bye.